I'm gonna eat all these candies because I'm a fat ass.
What is this? Is it just a regular chocolate bar?
Almonds. I gotta have.
Is it like a Hershey's?
Oh, it's from the children's, like the kids that put.
Oh, what are they fundraising for?
To school, so their school doesn't get closed down. I don't know.
Dang, is it DEI school?
Jesus.
All right, we're rolling.
I'ma strip the wealth, even if I touch a meal. And do it through the pain, I don't need the pain. And life won't get me down, but it won't break my will. Cause I've been chasing this so long, I can't give up. I won't give in, been through too much. I done prayed for the money, I done prayed for the fame. I done prayed that I will make a sacrifice and play this game. I done prayed that my life would never be the same. I done prayed that I will make it bring glory to my name.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. Very, very special guest. This is the one, the only king of the Blend Nutrition Gym, Mr. Zach Zernick. He is the owner of this establishment. This IV Talks podcast studio is inside the gym. So this is Zach. So before we get into some background, I just want to talk real quick how we met. I'm working at Pizza Hut, right?
Slanging.
I'm slinging pizza. I'm slinging dough. Pizza dough. The best Pizza Hut delivery driver in the state of Texas.
There you go.
And what were you, was it the door handle on our freezer or something like that you was fixing? Or was it the AC? He was fixing something.
Yep.
And so I get back from a delivery. There's another one getting ready. You know, I'm putting like our little insulated like bags or whatever. The first thing he says is, "What gym do you work out at?"
Not do you work out, because that's obvious, right? Yeah.
And then the rest is history, because you gave me your like little business card or little pamphlet for the gym. Stop by.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. So
you heard about the good book? Here you go.
I want you to just introduce yourself, where you're from, and we'll just kind of start from there.
Gotcha. So from Houston, Texas, I went to elementary, middle, high school there. I guess I played sports in I played sports in high school. So I mean, if you want to go back, it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, and elementary, middle school, soccer in elementary, middle school, and then finally found my I guess niche in 8th grade whenever they had the one cross country meet. Like, it's like you trained for running the whole 8th grade year just for the one meet. And that's actually how I thought like cross country worked in the 8th grade, because I was just like, oh yeah, there's just like one meet at the end of the year, right? Not at the end of the year, but for the whole entire thing. Little did I know, whenever I got to 9th grade, there was a cross country meet, every single weekend up to November, December, something like that. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit different. Side note, the one person that beat me during that meet, I actually wound up going to high school with. So, and he still continuously beat me all throughout high school.
Oh, man.
but it was funny. So yeah, did cross country and track. Found my niche right there in long distance running. I guess you can say, I call it mid distance to long distance. So 800 mile, 2 miles, stuff like that. Of course, cross country is 5K, so 3.16 miles. Did wrestling for 2 years, my sophomore and junior year. Liked that a lot. So I actually came to San Antonio, ironically enough, to Churchill High School, in which case I never wanted to ever see that high school again. Right. But
really?
I drive past it actually quite often. So
just was a bad experience?
I lost. Yeah. I mean, I lost a match that I could have easily won my weight class. So yeah, but it wasn't like I'm number 2 and that guy's number 1, like on my way, up there. It was like for, I don't know, I guess since I lost that, it probably put me in 4th place or something, so, but, yeah, no, just, I mean, nothing really bad about Churchill at all, just, didn't like because of that.
Yeah.
But that was in high school. I did soccer my freshman year of high school just because I thought it would be something. That's why I didn't do it. Well, that's why I did sophomore and junior year of wrestling. But then senior year, if I wanted a scholarship, I kind of had to focus a little bit more. And then wrestling started, I don't know, we started training in October, and it was very difficult my sophomore and junior year to really run a 5K early in the morning, then hustle over to, I guess, a meet, that afternoon or even almost early morning, weigh in, depleted and dehydrated, and then rehydrate yourself and then go compete on the mat.
Right.
That was fun my maybe sophomore year because I had nothing to lose, and then junior year was going to get a little bit more serious, and then senior year they said, look, you could do this, but there's not going to be much for you in the future, because if you have to stay a certain weight, you're in your weight class, then you got to watch a lot. And for cross country, I'm just eating as much as like I want to. And you really had to stay like focused, for that. And senior year, if I really wanted to actually get a scholarship to UTSA, which was what ended up happening, I had to actually try a little bit.
And that was for cross country.
That was for cross country.
Right.
Right.
And then so you get to UTSA cross country, go through your college from like freshman to graduate.
So did cross country my freshman year. I was definitely okay, and what I mean by okay, let's call it the back half of the pack. So a lot of these people that go to, I guess, to get to the collegiate level, and they're cross country athletes. These are lanky, tall, people. That is not myself in particular.
Yeah, there's like a specific build for it.
Right.
Give you an advantage physically.
Yeah. And then in my, I guess, you can say my junior year, I got into weightlifting like a little bit, so actually just, I guess, basic stuff. Not anything compared to, what I am like right now. But if you had that cross country body, you were like, no visible like weight up top, no visible like muscle up top, and just like kind of like a chest with like little bitty arms as they're flailing about, right? Yeah. But I mean, not little bitty, but I mean like lengthwise they're regular size arms, but unfortunately you had like no muscle. Maybe they were toned, and just trunks for legs, right? And I just didn't have the I guess speed, maybe you could say it was the height, but needless to say, after a few meets, it was looking pretty, I guess, dark for me. I was like, oh man, this is not working. I'm the last in the team. I'm getting, close to last in the meets. I mean, thank God there were some other slow, people out there that I beat, but wasn't anything to take pride in. I would say nobody came to see me as far as my family goes. No one came to see me to do any of my competitions. Not that they didn't want to, just busy or circumstances and stuff like that. But then my girlfriend at the time was graduating high school. Whenever I was a freshman in college, she was a senior in high school. She was going to come over there. She said that she was going to join the Jans team, and that the relationship was over, which, I mean, of course, at that point we'd already kind of been away from each other for a year. So I guess we kind of still stayed dating, but I was, in college, so there's a lot of people to talk to. But I was still trying to be, an honest individual. Whenever she said that, it kind of put the nail in the coffin, but I still wanted to, I guess, be involved. So I decided to try out for the cheerleading team my sophomore year, or the summer in between my freshman and sophomore year. Made the cheerleading team, got a small scholarship, so I did that. But I don't know if I've ever shared this one with you. While she was doing workouts, my ex-girlfriend, no, she'll never see this. So Stephanie Ford, right? What's her name?
Name drop.
She
related to,
never.
She's like in the Ford family?
No,
or?
heck no.
Okay,
Hey,
all right.
No. So, no, if you were to see the place that she was from, no
way.
No. Anywho, so that being said, she tore her meniscus and her ACL before school even started. So the Walmart right off of De Zavala.
Yeah.
So here I am. So if you go to UTSA, there's this, there's a few grocery stores like right around it. So here I am, at this point, like 19 years old, right, by myself, going throughout the grocery store. I had already made the cheerleading team. I'm happy. I had heard that she had torn her meniscus probably 2 or 3 months into season. So that's maybe August at this point, right before school started. So all I see is her like leg propped up as she's like driving around in like a scooter,
electric.
and her mom like is like right there behind her trying to help her out along with her sister, and I just like, all right, I'm just gonna go down this aisle just to avoid it real quick, because I mean that was her dream. You know, her dream was to join the dance team at some college, right? That wasn't my dream to be a cheerleader at some college, you know, at all. I mean, to be a college athlete, sure, but yeah, I guess I never really talked to her much after that, but. I mean, people find different reasons or different motivations to do whatever they did in life, and that was my motivation to start it. But then after that, just being a competitor, you know, I just really enjoyed competing and being, you know, still in the, you know, I guess college sport limelight. You know, I got priority classes. You know, you felt like you had an excuse to go to all these different things. So at UTSA, we didn't have a football team yet. So at that time. Yeah, because
When did the football team start?
2010.
Really? I didn't know they were
I
that
graduated
young.
in 06.
I didn't know that.
So I went to college in 06.
Yeah, because the university's not that old either. When was their 50th anniversary? That was a couple years ago, right?
1969 was whenever they were founded, because I remember that, because that's silly. You should know that.
1959? So 2019.
69.
So 2019 was the 50th year, right? Because I was here when they had the 50th year.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, it's only 50.
Yeah.
Because at Mizzou, they established 1839.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm used to like
Well, it used to be
super old campus. But you can tell it's a newer campus because how the buildings are.
But, I mean, it also was called like College of San Antonio at first or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was called something different.
Was it called that when you were there?
Mm.
Okay, but like when it was first.
Maybe in the 70s and 80s or something like that,
I
before
don't
the
know
UT
the
system's
history.
just like, hey, let's just go ahead and buy this baby school.
Yeah,
like right here. Put it in the
UT,
system.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have the history of UTSA. The only thing I know is that they're like 56 years old as a university. That's it.
Yeah, as of right now. Yeah.
No.
So I mean that was it. I would say I had a whole lot more fun doing cheerleading than cross country.
And you did that to finish out the rest of your.
So I did that my sophomore, my junior year, and that was it.
Okay.
So and then senior year I did nothing. So but got scholarships both years. These were small scholarships. I want to say they were no more than 1,000 each semester, and I want to say one of the semesters it was really weird. They had I guess a few extra. We had done well the previous year, so this has got to be my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say towards the end, so it's probably my second semester of my junior year. They said, hey, there's not enough scholarships to kind of go around, but we want to give everybody something. So they asked a few of the people that were older, me being, you know, one of them, or had been on the team for a little bit, not like a first year person. Would you ever consider taking less of a scholarship to give kind of everybody else scholarships?
They're like
yeah,
partial to give out more partials.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I have no problem with that. And there was like 4 or 5 of the other, I guess, that were there. Yeah. And they all said they didn't have a problem doing it. But I know that they all had jobs outside of that. And I know that they were all hard workers. So, I mean, if we all, you know, figured it out, you know, at this point. But we still needed a little bit of help. But, I mean, the great thing about all of that is like, because you were in that community, some of the other college athletes would wind up giving me their book, right? Not even in the same sport, if I'm going to take that same class.
Right, yeah.
So it was a smaller sports program at this point. The athletic director, I had her cell phone.
So like everybody knew everybody kind of.
Right.
So
I mean, the athletic director, her name was Lynn Hickey. So.
What a last name.
Yeah, I know, right? So I would walk into her office and talk to her. I mean, I don't know, like if you at Mizzou, if you had like the athletic director's like cell phone number.
Not the athletic director, but
that
the director of ops though.
Right.
Yeah. So some of the higher ups.
Right. It was just so small that, you know, anytime we had meetings, we would gather all the student athletes, all the student athletes together. So they go over different policies and procedures. Yeah. You know, with you, they probably just have just the football team. Right. Right. And so because of that. You get to know a few of the people. They have different like events for the student athletes every so often. And so after I got to know a few people, everybody was just helping each other out. Maybe, I don't know if that was just the environment that they created or what it was, but yeah, I want to say after my sophomore year, I never paid for another book. Like I just,
there you go.
You know, which, you know, could be pricey, you know.
Yeah.
See, I have no idea how it is now because of, you know, I guess ebooks and stuff like that.
Most professors now, even when I was an undergrad, they would most textbooks have a free like online version, PDF version that you can get. So most professors will just send you a link to it online. Like honestly, they don't even. The only ones that I know of personally through experience that make you buy the book are the ones that wrote the book.
Well, yeah, that's gonna help them.
Yeah, but outside of that, I mean, I had to get a few books, but most of my classes are like, yeah, like if you need the textbook for help with like studying, you can. Like you don't need a textbook, or they'll be like, you can get the textbook if you want a hard copy, but they will literally like in Canvas or Blackboard put the PDF of the textbook in the course. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's perfect. So
yeah,
it's many years different from, because I mean you're talking about 06, so it's a 10, so it's, I mean, it's now 19 years removed since I've been, since I first started, so it's.
Yeah, what I did, since my books are paid for, books for in my major, I went and got the physical book, and I've kept every book from my major. So I have every math book for every math class. I've taken every physics, biology, but I didn't keep the English and history ones.
I'm trying to remember if I even have any.
I have a ton of just calculus 1, calculus 2,
I don't have
algebra, geometry, trigonometry, matrix theory. Like I got all of them.
I'm trying to think.
But I just took advantage because I didn't have to pay for them. So I was like, yeah, I need all these. So when I get an office, when I'm a professor, I'm gonna have like all my books. Half of them I've never opened.
Yeah.
I've never.
Well, I mean, you can. I mean, whether you were looking at the PDF online or you just knew the information, either one,
Yeah.
So that's crazy. But no, that's. I mean, that's pretty much it. So I would, and again, cheerleading was again the best experience. Now, so family didn't come visit me during some meets my freshman year of college. Grandma and grandpa definitely came to see me at some of my competitions. So the way cheerleading works is, there's one competition at the end of the year. Again, like what I thought that 8th grade cross country was.
Yeah.
Right? So that's it. Now, during the summer, before the year starts, you have to win a bid, and you have to go to a collegiate summer training or summer camp. So it's a week-long training. Fantastic. It's just a whole bunch of young college kids, like in different hotels, like that are special, like just getting to know each other,
getting to know each other, huh?
And it's fantastic. But you still have to figure out a routine, get that routine solid, and prove that you deserve to have a bid come the NCAA tournament. Not the NCAA, the NCA tournament, National Cheerleading Association.
Okay.
So whenever you get a bid, then that means that you obviously get to compete. That's all it is gets you entry to compete. Now there's different divisions based on I guess school not attendance, the school size.
So like D1 AA, D1 AAA kind of.
Right, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So small group, large group, and then small school, large school, and then you have small group, large group, meaning if you have a small cheerleading team like of 10 to 15 versus a team of 15 to 30. Like there's schools that have like 30 people on the mat, 30 competitors on the mat. And you got to find ways to make that work. And there's some schools that have 12, 15, whatever they got that year. So that matters. And then if that's the case, and because we did small group, it's got to, I mean, of course it's Division I small group, but I think it's a certain size school. So we were just kind of like one tier down as far as that goes. I want to say we got runner up, and I forget what happened like both years, but anyhow, I mean, that wasn't the best part. The best part was just kind of like going through the whole entire motions. But throughout the year, what are you doing to I guess practice aside from literally practicing? Because football wasn't around, right? So we went to the women's and the men's basketball games, and we were cheerleading at the basketball games. Typically, not obviously on the sidelines, but at the very end of the court. Right.
Yeah.
And specifically on one end of the court. So, timeouts, halftime, we do our, little thing.
How rigorous is the training for that?
It's just a lot of memorization as far as like, it's all timing and then making sure that you can hit all your steps correctly.
Were practices rough?
Practices were rough because they were 3 or 4 hours long. They weren't rough as in physically hard.
But it was just the
repetition.
Over. And
It's just
over.
it's just you doing it again and again. It's a dance routine.
Yeah.
It's a dance routine with a little bit of athleticism. I wouldn't say it was ever physically demanding. It was more coordination than anything else. Like I had the physical muscle. Like maybe some of the guys there had issues with it, but it was more coordination. So whenever you're doing like a chair sit and you're getting a girl and she's jumping up and then you have it right here, so she's sitting in the palm of your hand. That's not that hard to do muscularly, right? Especially if she's 90 to 100 pounds.
Yeah, they're not very big. Yeah.
Plus, she's jumping right into it. And if
So
you leave your
use
arm
that
locked
momentum.
in, now if you're doing like this for like a minute, of course it's gonna matter. But if you do this and lock your arm in, you're fine. You can probably hold it for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Even if you're weak. But the getting up to that part, jumping with the person, letting go, like releasing them at the right height, and then getting underneath them.
The technique.
That's and then you want to, if you miss it, you don't want to make sure she's like, whoop, just fall.
You gotta like catch her.
Right? Yeah, you want to do the right thing. So it was more than anything else. I want to say the worst probably of it was probably not the stress, the self disappointment, if that makes sense. So yes, stress, but to be specifically, me not hitting certain marks. Right, fuck, I missed that mark.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what the worst of it was for me personally. I mean, everybody else can have different things, but man, I was probably one of the most uncoordinated people. Thank God I could do a back handspring and a back tuck, or
Oh, you was doing the flips?
Yeah.
So, you still flip?
I mean, I could do basic stuff, but I would practice a backflip before I did it. Right, it's been like 15 years since I've done a backflip.
I didn't know you was out there flipping.
Yeah, that's what's a requirement.
Well, do all the guys have to be able to flip?
Unless you're like one of those big dudes.
Just the one that's just there for strength.
And like you're carrying the girl by herself and you're kind of going. So sometimes some guy's gonna be like 6'2", 6'6", or something like that. He's popping a 90-pound girl up and he's doing this and he's catching her on her feet. Like both of her feet
I've seen
are
those.
right here, and then he's like this right here, and then his hand's so big that he's got both her feet, and then like room for his fingers to kind of like grip on side to side, and then he'll do this, do that, spin her,
Like
she'll do a 360, and he'll catch her on this arm.
Yeah.
So for those specific, we had one guy that could do that. For that specific person,
he don't need to be able to.
Right.
Or he doesn't. It's not required.
Right,
Some of them, I know some of them still can.
Some of those big guys,
dudes can, yeah.
that mat will shake. 1, 2, oof, he's coming. Boom. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the majority of the time everybody can flip. Yeah, I mean, and if you're at an elite school, that guy can flip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were some elite schools that were out there that cheerleading, and those, it was great. Some of those guys could not only flip, they could do a standing. Oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. I forget. Standing full. So a full is whenever you could do a back flip, but you're also doing a 360.
A twist with it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like a Spider-Man type of backflip twist. Land? Yeah.
But land like pretty high up there, not land where you're like really low.
Yeah.
And I'm like
almost like a just straight up stick in the
So
land.
yeah, they're jumping and then they're spinning and doing it. And I'm like, how the fuck it's pretty crazy. And then the really, really talented ones, and they probably went the bigger people, could do that, but they were doing it straight body. Like they would just have the like ability to jump that high and then have real good body control.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Some of them would do those little like kicks where they leave their feet behind, right?
They
and
like walk backward,
right.
Almost like upside down.
Yeah.
Kinda,
yeah. And I'm like, now those are probably took gymnastics classes or stuff like that. There's no way they could be like, yeah, I got it, right? Because they just had such good fluid body control. I don't think I ever really got the whip down. So the whip is where you do a back handspring without your hands. So the same way you kind of back handspring and you go from here to like there, right? You do that except
like your head stays at the bottom of your legs, just kind of
and whip around. That's what they call it.
I do that in those jump places though. I can't do it on flat.
Trampolines.
Yeah.
No. So that was fun to me learning that stuff. Again, the hardest part to me was just, and again, I'm not coordinated by any means, was missing my marks on certain things. Zach, you counting? Like, because they play the music each time. So, because obviously you're dancing to a routine, right? Or dancing to music. And each one of them, you have to find the beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So counting that in my head so many times, it's sad. I still have it. Like, I still hear that repetition of that number being said by some of the coaches, ironically. But so after that, my brother did football at Texas State, right? For a year. That didn't, it was what it was. He just didn't care, didn't try, whatever. My sister did cross country and I believe track at Birmingham Southern College, or Birmingham Southern University, which is Alabama, right? So I think Tuscaloosa is right down the road, so it was right around there. So it was a private Christian university, right? Because of that, she, I guess, was the last person technically, because she was in her sophomore year, maybe I think whenever she stopped or something like that, and then she actually just wanted to move back home. Anyways, but that would make it my senior year. So she was the last person to go to college. So after that, I was just looking for things to do, whether it was 5Ks or whatever, just to have some drive in life.
Yeah.
So my
keep
mother,
that competitive.
Just keep that competitive. Right. My mother's the one that found the first mud run, and I do not remember the name of the mud run. And that was like 2009, something like that. So she made us all wear SpongeBob stuff. So we all, because that's what she liked at the time. She was teaching, special needs, whatever you call it. I don't know if it was middle school, high school, elementary school, or what it was.
Yeah.
So she did that for many, many years. But obviously she had bought a lot of SpongeBob stuff. Kids love SpongeBob, so it just kind of became, a little bit part of her thing or her identity for a little bit while she was doing that for X amount of years. So she made us all wear SpongeBob stuff. We all did. We did the mud run, swam in water, we did rope climbs, different things on that. Loved it, and then looked for other things like it. And then once I started to look for other things like that, I found different obstacle course races. So my brother and sister did the first one with my mother and I. And so we just kept on finding more, and by we, I guess mainly me and my mother, and then inviting people out. So there's one time, I have to find it. It was called Running with the Bulls, where you literally ran with the bulls.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
I could imagine. I would never.
There were real bulls there, bro. Like, now, granted, the horns were like, shaved down. But trust me, if there's a bull right there, I don't care if the horn's shaved down. If it wants to get its head and do this to you, you are leaving this ground. There's no way. And my mom, who at the time, she had to be in her either just to turn 50 or maybe in her mid 40s or something like that. So here I am in my 20 or 21 doing that with her. That was ridiculous. But so that's another memory I remember. But we eventually found like the different Spartan races, Tough Mudder, and stuff like that. So we just kept on doing that. It's been a minute just because we've been trying to focus on the gym here, my wife and I, for so long. But that's truly what I kind of started my fitness journey after college. Yeah, was just doing stuff like that. Whether it was mud runs or obstacle course races or 5Ks. I loved all of it, and wanted to be more involved with fitness. And after, just being in the corporate world, you had to kind of break free. You had to break the monotony. And so doing that on the weekends, training for that was fun. Yeah. It kind of just helped with, just getting through corporate America. But
now, how did the gym start? I kind of know a little bit of the backstory, but just for the viewers or listeners, how did the dream of the gym start?
So I guess the infancy stages was me doing Camp Gladiator. Have you heard of Camp Gladiator before?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
So I was a trainer for Camp Gladiator for all of a few months, like nothing. So and it was so silly, the training. And I consider myself an outgoing person around people that I know, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, and now I'm outgoing no matter what, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But that's over many, many years. So then I was probably in my late 20s, mid 20s when I was first kind of experimenting with either personal training or Camp Gladiator. and they had this silly little process,
Yeah.
for it. But I mean, this was again whenever they were first starting off as a company. Did that for a few months. Now it's so funny because when I talk to people who do Clan Gladiator now, they don't get paid nearly as much as I got paid like 7, 8, 9 years ago. They get paid less now today than I got paid then.
Yeah, during COVID, I saw with someone started looking into it, and I thought about doing it, but
really,
I was like, it just the process of like the business model wasn't really my thing, and I'm more of a weights training, like powerlifting type of.
Did you go to any kind of camps though whenever they were there? So the reason that we got into it was because we found one for my girlfriend and I, not any of you. So another person, another lady. So, and I found a Camp Gladiator that was, I guess, near us. And whenever we went there, what wound up happening was she had a truck. She brought slam balls. I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
Right. She brought slam balls with her, dumbbells. She had I think it only went up to 20. She had like 5s. She probably had like 5 of everything. Like, so 5s, 10s, 12s, 15s, and like 20s.
Yeah.
And she had a bunch of like mats, and then she had some slam balls. That wasn't slam balls. It was like circular sandbags.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not slam balls, but they're like a circle, and they kind of just like a poofy a little bit. I don't know what you would call that chips. They were black, but I mean,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's what they had. They didn't have slam balls. They had that. So, which was fine. They had different variations of weight for that, but and she drove a truck, right? So it made sense. She got everything out beforehand, did that, and she stacked her classes. So she had like maybe like a 7 a.m., an 8 a.m., and a 9 a.m. or something like that, or maybe staggered it within 15 minutes, like in between each one. And that was like her day. And if you signed up with her, right, you always were her person, right? But if another person consistently went over to somebody else and kind of like left, so you got, I think it was like, if I'm not mistaken, you got like 60% of what they were paying. So, which was significant if they're paying $79 to $89, $99 a month, right? Especially if you had like 40 or 50 people.
Right.
So let's say every person was paying $100 and you got 60%. That's $60, right? So if you have 10 people, that's $600.
Right.
If you had 30 people, that's already $1,800. If you had 60 people, which some people did, then you have 36. So you're not taking home 36 after taxes and everything, but you were 1099. So I think it might have been actually a full 3,600. If you had, that'd be 60 people at $99 a month, which wasn't the case. And 60 people was probably high middle, because the average was probably like 40 to 50. But I had 60 people at one point. So and I didn't even have to try. But I also took over someone's spot.
Yeah.
So whenever you inherit someone's spot, that guy, leaves or whatever, you're left with all his people. Now, it's really weird because a lot of people sign up online. So the sign up goes to the original person, and they still claim, I guess, some percentage every month from that person for the rest of time, because they initially signed up online. The same way if I got somebody and then they started going to somebody else's camp, right, I still collected on that.
It's like it was like a semi-pyramid scheme, kind of?
Sure.
Kind of. But
now that's not the case.
Yeah.
Before it was, right, which would help me because I could sign people up. But that helped me get out of I'm only going to be extroverted around my friends. Now I can be extroverted around everybody, because I'm teaching a class and I have to be in front of everybody, which doesn't matter. I do it all the time. I do it all the time over here. But it helped me develop that skill. While I was doing that, I was still working for where we met, which was Pizza Hut, ironically enough.
Nobody else Pizza the Hut.
Yep, that's true. So I was still working for them while doing that, doing deliveries, ironically enough. And man, I wish it was the way it was beforehand, because you could make $150 to $200 a day if you wanted to work 8 hours. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You know, the good,
Yeah,
you know, 8 hours. But I mean, especially if you wanted to close.
Oh,
if you wanted to close,
that's all I did was close. So
yeah, you got to take these last 5 deliveries. So I'm gonna make, you know, $40.
Was it still $1.50 delivery
Mhm.
when you did it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, now they have it so that it's on mileage and it depends on your vehicle.
Yeah.
They type in your vehicle, it's
Yeah.
all this other stuff. It was a lot better before. But you know, I was doing that not really to supplement my income, just because I really wanted to do it. Literally, as I'm taking a delivery to this location, is where I met Patsy, ironically enough. And was really fascinated by this. So this was the original gym was, you know, somebody else's spot. Now this part that we're in wasn't part of his location. I actually got the suite next door after, you know, he had left, but came here, was really interested, was already exiting out of Camp Gladiator anyways, right? And go, you know, well, screw that, I'll just tell him I'm done. I hate doing that because, you know, of course you kind of, the people that you signed up and the people that you were with for a few months, you know, you kind of screwing them over. But at the same time, I text everybody and let them know, you know, like where I was at. But it was just really convenient for them to do it at that specific time.
Yeah.
So, and I was looking for personal trainers or people who wanted to be personally trained at the time. So, so came over here. The guy that was here beforehand goes and says, hey, just come to one of my classes, you know, and check it out and go from there. And as soon as I took one of the classes, I realized that was a lot less than work than what I was used to doing. I'm like, oh, I could do this. How do I start what I do? He was obviously trying to sell me on the Herbalife dream. So, which, you know, I really wasn't about, and unfortunately, and still, well, not unfortunately, but I mean, I'm still not about, but I guess I came in here, didn't sign up for any of that stuff, but somehow, I don't know how he did this, but he got people to teach his classes. He taught very few classes. Say he only did like one class in the evening. That's really all it was.
Yeah.
All the people that did his classes taught him for free. And they all signed up for Herbalife except for me. And I guess they were all making money. I wasn't making money off Herbalife because I didn't sign up for Herbalife. But I don't know.
Were they making money on Herbalife?
Probably not.
And teaching for free?
No. But the problem is whenever you, I hate to use this word, whenever you prey on people like that, prey on people that are downtrodden, or people that, you know, are looking for, you know, that secondary source of income.
Yeah.
You know, hey man, you don't even know, I make this, and you know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. You know, just doing like, you know, 10 hours of work a week. Whenever he's here at 6 a.m., stays till 2, and then gets in or stays here technically the whole entire time, and then closes the shop at 7. You're here from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, it's a long
Right,
day.
that's a 13-hour day. Right, just one of your days is not 10 hours a week.
Right.
Right now, okay, well I close from 2 to 3, so you know, from 2 to 5. Okay, so technically it's a 10-hour day with a 3-hour break.
Yeah.
But what can you do in 3 hours?
And that's still one day. That doesn't include like
right.
the rest.
So
of
he
the
did that
week.
Monday through Friday, but he closed early on Friday, so he didn't open it back up on Friday, and then he did it Saturday. So, but you know, it's all about again and again and again getting that repetition and then selling other people on it. And the issue with that is once you do that enough times, people are going to sign up. You know, whenever people sign up, you get, you know, I don't know if it was 50, 75, or $100, depending on what they got as far as the package goes. Because everybody's got to buy that intro pack for Herbalife, whether you're just doing it as a member or doing it as a distributor. Distributor means you're trying to sell it, right? As a member, you're just trying to do it. So you got a little pop from that, and every single thing you got after that was a residual of what they make.
Yeah, my one of my exes, she got into Herbalife, so she tried to get me to get in. I never got into it, but I just was kind of like adjacent.
Your stuff, man. That's exactly what you need to
I
show.
don't know. Well, I'm thinking about getting a table that's a little higher so I can set something right here, but
You should just have the safe.
look, I mean,
you can scoot it on over right here, and honestly, it would probably be like right here.
yeah. But yeah, so I kind of, she was breaking down how it worked, and I was like, it's not for me.
So the reason why it wasn't for me personally is because of how much soy they use. that's it. Like there wasn't. Really,
I personally wasn't a fan of the product as well.
And
it's hard for me to sell a product if I'm not really
right. Yeah, exactly.
It.
That was my biggest issue. But later on, whenever there started to be more rules, like if you post something where you're in a behind a nice house or in front of a nice house or in front of a nice car or something like that, that's what people were doing.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't their house. It wasn't their car.
It's just the image that they're selling.
But that used to be something like 10 years ago that people used to do. Like, there was just scams is what they were. And so Herbalife became known for that. So they got sued several times. And so now you have to put some sort of disclaimer on every single Instagram, Facebook post. If you're a true Herbalife distributor, you're supposed to put that in there.
Yeah.
You know, this is not a normal outcome of blah, 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 blah. Which is stupid. That just means to me that your shit doesn't work.
Right.
If you've been sued, you know, so it's crazy. That there's other rules. So if we were technically an Herbalife smoothie bar, I'd have to have curtains to draw.
You have to separate the gym from the
right, and so I'd have to put up a wall. Right, it can't be in the same space. There has to be some sort of dividing factor. It could be like a curtain, that's fine, but there has to be some sort of dividing factor, whatever the case is.
A lot of rules.
And you can't do DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything like that, because if I do that and then some person comes to pick it up, that person is bringing them the smoothie, the shake, the whatever, the protein powder, and if they're bringing that to them, then what winds up happening was I didn't get that customer. I didn't get to sell the Herbalife dream to. Right. And so if I can't sell the Herbalife dream, then we can't have it. I could do curbside.
Like they can come to the store or whatever.
And I could have an internal delivery driver that I hire, or that's me, to deliver it. So it is possible, but that's because I or my delivery driver would be educated on how to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They're part of the system.
Right. There's certain products that Herbalife has that are plain Jane and that are double the price of outside sources. I don't think that that's fair. So that was something else I disagreed with. And just the whole entire way that it was sold to me initially was why I put a bad taste in my mouth. I see its place now in the fitness industry. And it
has a market. It's niche. I think it's very niche. But
there are people that are ride or die with Herbalife now. Like they're like, oh, you an Herbalife smoothie bar? Like there was literally somebody today as I'm leaving, right, getting taken off, right, at 9 a.m. or something like that. I'm taking off. Hey man, do y'all sell shakes or smoothies in there? It's like, yeah, we do. And he's like, is it Herbalife? And I go, yeah. Oh yeah, okay. And they started getting out. I'm like, are you serious?
Hey, that's the one thing. That's the one thing I do appreciate about the supplement industry. Once somebody finds something they really like, they're pretty brand loyal. Like for me, before I had my own stuff, I used a brand called NutriCost. I love their products, their protein powders. They're reasonably priced. The nutrition on them is good, and that is the only brand I would buy for protein and all like my creatine, all that stuff.
So if you were to say your number one thing about NutriCost, ironically in the name, what was your number one reason for staying with them for as long as you did?
One, in terms of the quality was great, but because NutriCost in the name, it was a lot more cost effective compared to the quality where it was at. So it wasn't a very cheap, product, but if you took the servings in one container with the quality of like calories to protein ratio compared to the industry standard, it was significantly more cost effective for the same quality. Like I believe it was a 5 pound. Now their price have gone up since then because I was on NutriCost before it got real big. So back then I could get a big 5 pound container that would have basically, I think it was like 60-ish, 2 months worth of protein. It was like $40. I think at the time it might have been $35 for 2 months worth of protein, and it had 25 grams of protein. It was like 150-ish calories for 2 months. So that was great versus if you go to Walmart and look for the same protein to calorie ratio for 60, 70 something, so you're talking about $100. That's at Walmart. one of the cheapest places you can get protein powder.
And you're talking about Gold Standard specifically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I still remember that time.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I stayed. And then they also they had everything. So I go there and get my pre-workout from there, my creatine. Like the vitamin C I use from Nutricost because I don't have just vitamin C.
Yeah.
And so I get I believe it's 900 something servings for $20, and that's what almost 2.5 years worth of vitamin C right there. Cause I only use 1 scoop a day.
Yeah.
And it's 900 some servings. So one $20 container lasts me 2.5 years.
Does the expiration date on that last 2.5 years?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if there's expiration date on there.
There for sure is.
There is, but it's vitamin C, so being honest, it doesn't. They have to put an expiration date on there legally. Sure. But it's literally just powdered citric acid. So it's literally just dried powdered lemons. That's what it essentially is.
So, do you believe in expiration dates when it comes to most products like that? Like most.
It depends.
Pills? Oh, it depends on the product.
It depends on protein for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
like the whey stuff, because it's milk based, I probably wouldn't go past the expiration date on that.
Which is like 6 months.
I think it's more than that. It might be a year.
Okay.
They still got a decent long life.
No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I've had protein powder for a while.
But vitamin C, like, even if it's date past, even like like when like pre-workout starts to coagulate, it starts to like clump hard. I'll still take it.
Oh, I have that right now. Like, yeah.
Now you gotta dig in there. But
I'm getting a metal spoon.
Yeah, but if it's 2 years old and it's all clumpy, I still use it. It doesn't mess with my stomach or anything. It's fine.
Yeah, me neither. So, what did I have? It was probably magnesium, zinc.
The ZMA.
Yeah. Would you take that after the expiration?
Yeah. So
you just gotta like look into it. My brother, whenever he came over for, I don't know if it was for Christmas or Thanksgiving or maybe even both, I'm like, so which ones do you do? He's like, okay, because my wife is of the assumption that if it says the expiration date, that means 100% that it's no good. And I was like, all right, since you grew up, rich, this is not the case. And then so I'm like, we were poor, so that's exactly what we do. And Jacob corrected me.
It's a suggestion,
right? So Jacob, my brother, corrected me. He's like, it's not because we were poor, although sure that was a leading factor.
Right.
He's like, but it's because we use, I guess, our thought process or whatever we did to determine whether this was good or bad. So what do we do? So if like any food product, right? So the milk is 1 day past due. So my wife, trash. Zach goes and says
the sniff test.
Correct. So you smell it,
test.
right?
It smells fine.
Right. You look at it. Doesn't look clumpy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then the last one, which is you taste it.
I'll do the sniff first. If it's a little sour, then I'm like But if it smells fine,
you look, you smell, and then you taste. Right. Yeah. And then if it tastes good, you finish it. Right. You finish it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's. And he goes. So he's like. So that's the 100% because we developed it because obviously we just we couldn't like throw food away or anything like that.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah.
But he's like, so same thing. He's like, so the expiration date is the expiration date, but you still are going to kind of use.
I mean, if you look at bottles of water, they have expiration dates on them.
Yeah, this is very true.
Water doesn't expire. Like honey. Yeah. Honey doesn't expire, but legally, if you sell a consumable product, you have to put an expiration date on. Even if honey, we all know honey doesn't expire. Mm-hmm. If I have honey and it's 5 years expired, I'll still use it. Mm-hmm. I might give it a little test.
Right. Yeah.
Because at some point maybe.
Well, and honey's also going to be really solid at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you kept it in the fridge, it's now you've
Oh, you extended the.
Yeah. So.
The lifespan.
But I forget where you were going before that.
The gym. So the Herbalife, and now.
Right. Yeah.
You've come to the gym.
Right, so I came to the gym, started doing the classes, then for some odd reason I got convinced to do the classes for free too because I'm also an idiot. So, and that was so we're going from 2010 to college, all right, to maybe 2014, 15 doing, so from 2010 to pretty much 2015 to 16, so those 6 years, going to the corporate world, working at USA, worked at KCI, jumped into Pizza Hut as a delivery driver after those kind of corporate jobs. Still trying to find my way, in my mid to 20s, late 20s. Still doing the mud runs during that whole entire time. Fell into Camp Gladiator and then this, and that started in 2018. So I want to say it was like May of 2018 was my maybe first day here, sometime right around then. And then October of 2019, so a year and a half-ish later, I took over the gym part. So the previous owner was just doing the smoothie bar up front, right, with the Herbalife smoothie bar. And it was blocked off and separated, right? You remember that?
Yeah, the wall.
So
with the door.
Yeah.
The door to the gym with the gym license plate on top of the.
Yeah, exactly. So I took it over in October of 2019. So now during this time, I went from a delivery driver to then a general manager at Pizza Hut, ironically enough. So in 2018, 2019, and then 2020. But I took over the gym in 2019. So October of 2019. So I met you, was it 21?
Was it 20? It was 2020.
It was 20?
Yeah, or it was either late 2020 or early 21, because I started working at Shoe Palace in December of 21, and I was already at the gym by then. So it had to have been early 21 or late 2020. Somewhere around.
I'm trying to remember that. It had to be 2020 because that's when I redid the gym, because you never saw it when I was first redoing it. So October 2019, I left the gym how it was, and then all the way until March of 2020 when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then because
that's right, it was after COVID.
So COVID had happened. I then redid a lot of the gym. So I got new flooring, got some plates. I'm pretty sure there was some machines that weren't even put together, right? I don't know if you remember that part or not.
I don't know. I think
like the cable machine, cable crossover, like that might have still been in a box, or
I think that was still in a box.
Yeah, like I got it in July of 2020, and you know how long it takes me to put shit together. So.
Well, yeah.
so
yeah,
and it had to be 2020, more than likely. So I'm doing this, but I'm subleasing the gym from the person, right? So since I'm subleasing the gym for the person, my overhead was nothing. So I'm just throwing money, and getting all these supplies. So I could afford it then. I did it then, and then as it went on, I figured more stuff out as far as how to teach a class, what the price point could be for the gym, and then I realized that I could only get so much because I couldn't put my logo or any of my information on the gym.
Right, because of the Herbalife restriction?
Right, because of the Herbalife restriction. But more importantly, I'm here, in the early morning or in the late evenings. So who's selling my gym during the day? No one. So the person said they were, doing it. But I got you another gym member. Like every 2 months, he's like, here's $25. Like, it was nothing. So I realized that, and I started doing, other things to help out, and then slowly over time, I got a few gym members. Then at one point, I had enough gym members where I thought, okay, let me talk to him and see if I can't take over more of the gym or more of the space and make the gym bigger. So I tried to do that, agreed on a new price that I was subleasing, and in the midst of remodeling all that. So were you here whenever I actually built the full wall up front and it kind of made an L?
Yeah.
And then I fucking tore it down. So as time went on, I was going to build a wall, do a few other things. Well, I did, finished it out, and then that had to be summer of 2022 is when I started it probably, and then because it was August of 22 is whenever he said he was going to leave. So it was probably like April or May is when I started to take over the spot, right? And then August of 22 is whenever he skedaddled and he's like, here you go, here's the keys to everything, and sign the lease with the new people, put everything in your name, whatever. So then I took over the gym officially in August of 22. So it's been 2.5 years ish at this point. had to figure more and more stuff out. We didn't do meal preps then. We did Herbalife shakes just because that's what was there. So we just did that. I tried my hardest to do other shakes, and it just because of the devotion and the type of people that we get.
They were already brand loyal to the Herbalife.
But even then, even random people that come off the streets, I give them different, options, and I tell them how, healthy this other option is. It doesn't matter. Herbalife tastes better. It has more grams of sugar. It just sells more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're doing something right, obviously. So,
the sugar addiction.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, so, I mean, if I'd like to stay in business, I sell, Herbalife protein powder. Well, Herbalife shakes, which I still do. So, well, I did it for, probably a year, and that just fucking tanked everything, man. Just everything. I mean, these are all lessons, you know what I mean? So just trying to figure out, like, you're trying to do best by what you think is right? What you think is giving the people, the best option for protein powder, right? And you wind up suffering for it. So, and then you go back to it because you give up. And then people come back, so it's not a surprise, I guess. You just can't beat big brands like that, not whenever you're a small fish. Then in probably in November of 22, so a few months after I took over, the place that we're in right now, this side of the, gym right now, this space went vacant, so the people left.
Yeah.
And so I considered it for a long while, but it took me forever because I was still trying to figure out if someone else was going to lease it out. Soon in April, I kept on asking them, "Hey, did anybody lease out this the suite next door to me? Hey, did anybody else lease out the space next door to me?" Kept on, no, people are looking. A few times I got scared. I saw some people outside trying to check it out. I was like, "Oh, they're going to lease it." Never wanted up being leased, and so I talked to her in September. Well, I guess we started hashing it out in July. But in September of 23, I took over this space. So that's been now a year and a half. I want to say in December of 23, so a few months after that, is whenever we opened this space up.
Yeah, the grand reopening.
The grand reopening.
I did a video for that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And then ever since then, it's just been about how to figure it out, what to do, pushing more of the meal preps, pushing more of the, 5 meal preps, for sale, figuring out the marketing for that, doing marketing or marketing coaching, sales, figuring out, a gym can't survive off of a, $25 or $50 membership if you got, 30, 40, 50, 60 members. That's not going to make any money ever. And you have a few shakes here, a few shakes there, a few meal preps there, here and there. That's your gym's not going to survive. So having some sort of thing like I'm doing now, which is a transformation program, where people are getting Finis supplements, right?
FinalFormSubs.com.
And which is I need to re-up again because I only have I think either the multivitamin or the creatine. That's it.
Did Nat tell you about the code?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I have it streamlined to where
I
you need to re-up. You can just we'll talk off air.
All right. We don't want to talk. Yeah.
I don't want to give out the code and everybody starts using it.
Because that's just for us, right?
It's just for, so when you do it, make sure you log in under the blends y'all's account because it's specific to your account. So that way when you do it, you put in the code and it'll automatically discount it, so you just re-up whenever you need to, and it'll be cheaper that way than just me trying to do the math on my own.
Yeah.
I found a way to make it even cheaper.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
Is it good? The chocolate?
You can have some.
I'm still on my diet. I got it. My last day's Friday.
It's protein. This is 100% protein.
It's chocolate. Actually, let me see the sugar on it.
Probably horrible. These are the candy bars you get. I told you it was going to be
Oh my god.
It
looks good though. If you don't eat this one, I'll eat it Saturday. I'll eat it after this week.
Do you like almonds or caramel?
Either or, don't matter.
Well, I'm a stupid fan of almonds.
I'll do the caramel.
So, yeah, you can have the caramel. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, just trying to figure it all out, right? So, college sports to, obstacle course races to
powerlifting competitions.
powerlifting competitions. Yeah.
I am not doing another one. That was exhausting. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
really want you to.
It was
I know,
so
I know.
exhausting.
We do like that. So I hate it. That amount of effort that you got to put into there is the same effort Natalie and I put into each one of those vendor events.
Oh, I bet. I see it.
It's
I
just
see the
fucking,
effort.
and you know how much you put into that, and then we hung out different posters. You know,
Yeah.
we print. Well, you printed a banner. Did you print that banner, right? Or was that Natalie?
No, this is Natalie.
Okay. So, did that. We'd hand out flyers. I go around to different Pizza Huts and different stores and I hand out flyers. There's a lot to do for every single one. And that's what I was like, Natalie, let's just go to the other events. We get a lot of interested people. This was our real first, I guess, 2-day event that we did this past weekend. We didn't even sell all the meal preps. Like, so now I know to be a little bit more conservative, but I think we got to figure it all out. I set up the table a little bit better the second day, but having just the right information there.
Yeah.
I mean, you need that infographic. You know,
Yeah.
Burger King, X amount of calories, X amount of fats, this amount of protein. Zach's meal prep, blah, or the blend.
And
know?
if you guys are looking for meal preps, come check out the blend. They are fresh, never frozen, bought straight from the store, cooked immediately, and they are refrigerated. They are not frozen. They are fresh, and they are everything you need.
I don't think I've never said never frozen. But that's
You
true.
never said it? You gotta tell people that matters to people. They're never frozen. They're fresh.
They can freeze them.
8058 Finis Drive, San Antonio, Texas, 78230. Come check us out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we left off right now. I mean, I still have a full-time job outside of this. So, trying to figure that out has been a lifelong journey. I'm honestly, because nobody that's my director, owner,
All right, now.
they're not going to see it.
I'm growing.
No.
I'm growing.
No one's going to see it. So no one's ever going to see this. So, not that no one's going to see this. Nobody from from Pizza's ever going to see this. Or from, I don't even want to call it the company. But no one's ever going to see this. So since that's the case, it's just, I think recently after talking to different HVAC technicians, other maintenance technicians, and the way the economy is currently right now, I thought it was in an okay spot. You know, I was actually looking, for other things, that were, flexible. And 2 or 3 people came to the gym and was like, nah, Zach, we're getting paid per job now. It's not per hour. It's per job. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, so one of them said, every service call they go to, it's $18. And then I'm like, okay. And then he's like, then you have to upsell. I'm like, what if you do 3 service calls a day? He's like, well, you still have to, they get some sort of minimum, maybe it's 15.
Right.
But I'm like, well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, but usually whenever they go there, something's wrong, so they're going to charge for something. He's like, so that's where they get it. But I'm like, yeah, okay. So he's like, so typically on a service call, someone's going to be charged something, whether it's changing the contactor or capacitor, they get a certain percentage of the item that's sold, and then also a certain percentage of the labor. And I'm like, well, that percent matters for sure. But I mean, I guess, and then you could say, hey, your fan motor, it's really rusted, it's moving a little slower. Technically, I metered it. It's okay right now. It's within tolerance, but we could change it out. I got it with me right now. When in all honesty, if it's me and mine, well, I know where to get my fan motor. I know how to change it out within an hour. So it'd be nothing to me. Like I would say, okay, run until it dies, and the day it dies, I go into my garage and because I have a replacement fan motor, literally, just put it in, and that's it, and I'm done. Now for everybody else not in that situation, if it was a weekend, it'd be a little bit difficult because they probably wouldn't have access to it, because you can go get it from Granger, right? You can get some of these like in town. I don't know, and it's not that hard. It's either going to be a 3-wire or like a 4-wire. They're very simple to install. I guess if you don't do it very often, then it might not be fun. But I just ride that fan motor until the wheels fall off. Talking about on an AC, I guess, but I don't know. I don't like that business model for HVAC techs. I also don't like the fact that you now need an iPad at some of the units that I've been looking at, because they have like a Molex connection, right? So this special, cord, so USB to, this Molex, and you'll put it in there, and then you'll have to check on it, diagnose it that way, because they got like a board. There's like 3 other boards that are connected to it. Typically, one of them is going to be like a defrost timing board. You got the either the furnace board or the thermostat board. But I mean, it's a lot. And honestly, if you're not continuing your education all the time, then you're going to be lost. Like, it's just, now hopefully there's some industry standards that are going to be run in this. Like, hey, all of them are going to be kind of like this. They're all going to kind of, but I mean,
streamline it.
I don't know. So for the old, techs that are out there that are like, the boards are stupid, you just, because some of these units, they're pretty basic, but all the new ones, they are not at all. And then here, as of the beginning of this year, we're now getting rid of, R410A, or they're phasing it out, not get rid of, which is like the basic refrigerant that we use for all that household appliances, or not appliances, household ACs, and now they're going to R500, R600, which is a propane style refrigerant, which means it's flammable.
Interesting.
And safer for the environment, but flammable.
That sounds safe.
Right. Now, whenever you're brazing it, or you're like welding, everything, there's no refrigerant in there, so you should be okay. It'd be really silly if there was refrigerant in there, because then go. So, but you're supposed to evacuate the unit 100%. So that's technically on that. But it wouldn't blow up. It would just like kind of be like it would just like catch, and it would just look like a flame. Yeah. Coming out of the ground. That's all what happened. Maybe if he was like close enough, he'd like maybe get, some eyebrow action happen. Yeah. But that'd be about it. But no, I mean, I think one of my biggest issues throughout my whole entire life, honestly, is having too many different passions. And I love actually doing that. And I actually enjoy the people that I work with, at Pizza Hut. I really did. Like, I love them to death. And these are people that I've now been working with for coming up on 13 years. That people have been there for 13 years. And there's been GMs that have been there for, Jeff, who I just spoke to on the phone, he's been there for over 40 years.
Jeez. Yeah.
That's actually his first job. I don't think he's 60 yet, but he's in his late 50s. This is his first and only job. He's the director. Or technically now, he's the market leader. Market area leader.
Yeah.
So.
Moving up.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Some of the other people, like, it's been, late 80s, or some of the other people have come in the late 80s, but then like left, went to a few other things for 4 or 5 years, then came back, and then so that's like only 30 years total, but 40 years from start to finish, but they left for a few years.
Yeah.
Each one of our area managers has got to have 25 years with the company at least. Jeez. They don't have to, but that's what they have. They have at least 25 years. But with the new company that we're working with, the new company that bought out our old ownership group, it has nothing to do with how long you've been there, who you know, or whatever. It's just about the numbers, and if you're doing anything wrong, you're doing shit that's wrong, and they will have no problem at all letting you go. But that's corporate America, so I feel like, here I am trying to avoid that, starting the gym and doing a few other things, and then here I am kind of getting drawn right back into it. But, and again, at the same time, I think I'm blessed because I'm thinking in my brain, if you had to outsource a lot of this stuff, you'd be paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Oh, can Zach take care of this? Oh, he can? Well, that's great. That'll save us like $3,000 or $4,000 on that compressor install. Yeah. Fantastic, right? You bought the compressor, so because usually if they're selling you a product like that, or you're replacing a part, you're not paying for the parts wholesale, right? Which is what I can technically get. You're paying probably 1.5 times what it costs. Whether it's a $50 contactor, now you're paying $75 for it as a customer. Like, that's what it says on the invoice, is $75, even though I got it for $50, or even cheaper sometimes like that. Or if it's $1,000 compressor, you're paying $1,500 for it. Yeah. The majority of the time, the reason for that is the warranty. right? To give you a gap for warranty. Hope to God you never need the warranty, you know, but if we have to come back, there's got to be some sort of wiggle room.
Yeah.
And then as far as the labor goes, you just kind of go with the average, and typically it's anywhere from $100 to $150 per hour. And you just look online to see, you know, what it would usually take for that, and that's your quote. However, your quote's technically not set in stone, because if you run into different issues, then you know technically they could, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's why they give a lot of wiggle room right there, because a lot of things run into issues, you know. So I mean, but if you diagnose the unit correctly, which is, you know, very important, right? And then you've already checked everything else by replacing this part or bypassing that part, and it works fine, you should have no problem.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's why they go, well, I'll change the compressor out, but then I want to change the filter dryer out because the filter dryer could get clogged. The coil doesn't need to be changed, but I got to change the TXV out over there because the TXV has a small filter in it too. Because everything else that's now, if I change the compressor out, it's just coils and lines. Well, I can blow all those out.
Yeah.
But if I have the TXV that's in there, which has a small, like, little filter, which meters how much refrigerant goes into the inside coil, then it's just going to be, it could get clogged for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because of debris and particles, air, humidity, whatever it is. But I don't know. I mean, I guess there's ways to mitigate that. You just give them the price for everything.
Yeah.
And then that's how you can cover your butt for most of that stuff. But way off track, but I love talking about this and I love doing it. So it's hard because I love this and then I love the gym, and I don't, you know, unfortunately I have to find my happy place between the two of them for right now, because I refuse to let one of them go.
Look, I can definitely, I feel like one reason why we gravitated towards each other, when you said you have a lot of passions and you're trying to balance that, I'm in the same boat, you know, science, school, academia, outreach, you know, I'm doing the library stuff on Tuesdays. So I'm doing demos for like the library, local library, yada, 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 podcasting, creating content, streaming, fitness, basketball, I try to make hoop mixtapes, this, that, and the third. So that brings me to a question. One, before I get to the question, I want to backtrack and talk about your background educationally, because it's clear you have some type of engineering background. Because I know that you started off in engineering.
Right. I mean, I didn't graduate with the engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
But you definitely, when it comes to building things, putting things together, you know your way around a toolbox. I want you to talk about that transition from your engineering to your kinesiology degree, kind of like how that came to be, that switch.
So I guess the real reason is because I didn't like mechanical engineering. I didn't like the job that mechanical engineering, you know, actually gave you, if that made sense. It just, as a matter of fact, I just met one of my other friends who did civil engineering, like literally, that was while we were camping, that was like right next to us. I was like, hey man, so you got your civil engineering degree? They're like, yeah. I was like, what do you do? He's like, at this point, he just manages other civil engineer projects. And I'm like, and is that fun or exciting? He's like, I hate it. He's like, he's like, at this point, I'm not even designing or creating anything. I'm just going over people's shit and then making sure that they can, you know, do it in a timely manner and helping them whenever they need help. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, with mechanical engineering, if I was to actually pursue that degree, and there's probably jobs in mechanical engineering that I just never found or never looked into that were probably a little bit more exciting. But for the majority of the part, I'd be just designing things and being on, you know, SolidWorks or AutoCAD, which is why I took a SolidWorks class. And that part was fun, you know, but you had to do it within certain parameters. Okay, you limited me. You had to do it this way. Okay, you're limiting me. You're limiting, you know, me. And you had to do it by a certain deadline, and you had to do it, you know, X, Y, and Z. It became less fun and more work. Then, because of the way my brain works with a lot of things, right? I'm like, okay, and maybe this is me being selfish. I like to be heard, right? Or I like to voice my opinion. And in the mechanical engineering or the engineering firms that I went to, none of that was allowed. So it was like, oh, you want, you know, it wasn't like not allowed, but I mean, you couldn't say, or they maybe would listen to you, but then they would explain to you why we're not going to do it that way.
Right.
Whether it was a cost-effective thing, or if we did it that way, then we'd have to redo the plans. We have to charge the customer, and the customer already, hasn't paid us any. Maybe it had more to do with money, But I'm like, but this would be more efficient in general. So in the long run, they save more money. I'm like, but in the short run, they wouldn't, and that's why they can only afford this kind of design.
Right.
And so I'm like, yeah, but you got to do it this way. So I just ran into a lot of that, and I didn't enjoy that part of it, and they weren't probably as nice. You're the, talking to different, mechanical engineering firms and stuff like that. I wasn't interviewing for them, but at the same time, maybe it's because the people that I talked to were just like having bad days or whatever.
Yeah.
But they weren't assholes, but you could tell they were a little snarky. So, and I got that from multiple, at least 20 people, so I was just like, is this them?
Yeah.
Side note, Dad, you included. So,
Dang, Dad.
Yeah, well, he's a mechanical engineer, so.
Dang, Dad.
So, now, I think nowadays, well, him specifically, obviously he's a lot more understanding and better, but back then I could definitely see, that the chip on the shoulder, I know more than you, I'm better than you, why are you questioning me?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that could have been because of the lack of social skills or something like that, That's why I'm an engineer. That's why I'm not in sales. That's
right.
why that's that part of the job. And maybe that just turned me off. I don't know. But then going to kinesiology, obviously doing, wrestling, soccer, and then cross country and track, and then being in college doing, some of these things, I realized, oh, okay, well, here I am able to enjoy this. So now I can go over to kinesiology. What I really wanted to get a degree in, which at this point they kind of have a degree in nutrition, is what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So beforehand, UTSA did not have anything with nutrition. That's what I really wanted to do, a dietitian or nutritionist. 100%. If that would have been a degree, then I would have been doing that. But the next closest thing was kinesiology, and I didn't know what to do with that except for what most people said, which is to be a PE teacher,
Oh, yeah.
or go to PT school or physical therapy school. Didn't want to do that at all. But at the same time, I had a passion for it, fitness, so I just went along with that. Ironically enough, did not use any of that, I guess.
I mean, you use in the gym.
Yeah, but I can't remember shit from any of those classes. Like, I could literally...
That's how a lot of schooling is. Like, work experience is almost more... Work experience is just as valuable, and sometimes, depending on the situation, more valuable than the actual degree.
I can tell you I can remember one specific thing from, like, my intro to kinesiology class. And all the other ones I didn't remember jack diddly squat. Or if I did, the stuff that stuck with me was already stuff that I knew.
Yeah.
There was this one, I forget, she was probably I think she had her doctorate in physical therapy, right? And she said, I can pick any one of y'all out of the crowd, and if you take, 5 steps one way, turn around and take 5 steps back, I can tell you if you've been injured or not, where you've been injured. You have, knee problems, you have blah, blah, you'll have a lower back issue. So I didn't have any issues. I didn't raise my hand because I think she didn't want people with no issues. She wanted people with issues, right? Yeah. She called a few people up, and I think she wanted getting everybody's right. But I really wasn't amazed by that. I was like, I guess we can all see it, kind of. But yeah. What it made me do was it made me be more aware of how people walked, how people turned around, how people were moving. And that's kinesiology, is this movement, right? So I'm like, she wasn't really showing me more or less a party trick, right? What she was trying to say was, what I'm doing right now is diagnosing them based off of their movement, and this is exactly what kinesiology is. Yeah. This is exactly what physical therapy should be, and is. So that's probably the only thing that stuck with it. is that one thing.
I had one of my at Mizzou. Oh my gosh, her name escapes me. Phenomenal strength coach, but I believe she had her degree in kinesiology, and she broke me down to the T.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were working out, and I was just standing there. She was like, "You have a shoulder injury in high school or something?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You tear your labrum in your right shoulder?" I was like, "Yeah." She was just looked at me. It was like, "Well, this arm, like my arms were uneven because of the injury." So she was like, this, that, and the third. And then I think I was squatting or some jumping. She's like, "You have patella tendonitis, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah." Like she was like really good, and she helped me kind of deal with that because I've had patella tendonitis since middle school. My second to last question, or I guess last question. Obviously, with these different passions, you're working full time in a pretty high up position at Pizza Hut. You're running a gym. You have the HVAC thing. Where did your work ethic come from? If you were the core of it, was it watching your parents work hard, or was it something that you kind of learned in sports through competitiveness? Where did that come from?
I want to say it's probably a combination of my mom and my dad. So they're divorced, right? They were divorced whenever I was 6 years old, so I didn't know anything. My sister watches this; it'd be hilarious. So my mom got remarried.
Make her watch it.
Objection. My mom got remarried. I'm guessing at this point, but 6 or 7 times while we were kids, while we were there. So
fully remarried?
Fully remarried, according to her. I never saw the marriage certificate. We were, 12, 10, 14, whatever. I stood in weddings, with her. We moved into a lot of different dudes, houses. That didn't mean to me, that didn't help motivate me to be a hard worker, but at the same time, it just formulated maybe subconsciously that I need to be not there for my kids, make more money, I guess. Or my mom, maybe subconsciously I was thinking my mom had to do this in order to survive, right? When clearly she didn't, after seeing the child support payments for my father. So I'm like, you could have literally almost not had a job. As long as you didn't spend any money. Yeah.
Right, managed it.
I swear to God, when I was 10, here I am every 2 weeks giving my mom over $700 in a check, right, from my father. So that's $1,400 a month. You're talking about early 90s.
Yeah.
So that's $1,400 a month. They said the mortgage was less than $600, and he paid that, so that wasn't part of the mortgage. Right. But then we went to private school, so and that's where the argument came into play. If my mom probably wouldn't have been so adamant about us going to private school, our lives probably would be totally different.
Right.
Now that being said, lives is in our friends or upbringing. I might not even be this type of person. So I was around a lot of people, so the home life being not bad, but just different and weird.
Yeah.
But then you go into a private school, so let's say we're bottom of the barrel of the private school, right? So everybody else is oh, you have your, the nice collared shirts on, and oh, how'd you get those pants like that? Well, these are new pants. What do you mean? They're the new ones they came out with this year, because you had to wear your uniform, right? I'm that'd be cool. Oh, they had so I have the Walmart sweatshirt or jacket or whatever. You could wear that as long as it didn't have any logos on it. Yeah. Big words or anything like that. It could have the Nike logo on it or something. Although we didn't have Nike. But they had the branded school logo on it. And I guess it never hugely affected me, but I think subconsciously that's where it started to build that the foundation for I need to make some money. I need to get out of this.
Security.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to figure this out, and I need to maybe adapt. My mom technically, had, it seemed like always a job at one point or another, but sometimes it seemed like she had 2 jobs. My grandma had several rental properties, or I guess my grandma and grandpa, you know, them both had several rental properties as well as a full-time job. So that propelled me to make, you know, like you want to have a standard. So my standard for myself was to have, I guess, rental properties as well as have a full-time job. Like I needed to have multiple sources of
income. Yeah.
That's what
You saw it early on.
automatically. That's what Grandma said.
Yeah.
Right now, the weird thing with, you know, getting married several times and moving to, you know, different places, that was just like motivation. Seeing everybody dressed in nicer stuff, and then my mom over here in a, you know, 8, 9, 10-year-old, you know, van picking us up from school when everybody else had, you know, 1 or 2-year-old, you know, vehicles.
Yeah.
Or, if you wanted like a third row of seats, usually you got a van, or if you were wealthy, you got, you know, an SUV.
Like Escalade, or
not even, I mean, not then, but,
but
one
of the nice,
like nowadays, with the third row.
Yeah.
Now, so that would be like now. Back then, you still got the SUV with the third row, right? Yeah. I swear, like, this is sad. So whenever I was in, like, I want to say middle school, when I heard someone was getting, so they have the Ford Explorers, and then they have the Expeditions, and then the really, really big one, I don't know if you remember this one, was called the Excursions.
Yeah.
So, right. So there were some people that had Excursions and some people that had Expeditions at the school, and I thought that was like the fucking, you have a Ferrari of like, like seriously, that's what I thought. But I mean, and these were, nowadays I realize that these are like more or less regular cars.
Yeah.
But back then they were a little bit more pricey.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, you know, a little bit more expensive. And so people couldn't afford them. So whenever I saw people getting picked up in them, I was just like, oh, dude, you got the third row, right? Like, well, Mom has a shitty van. That's the third row. The Plymouth Voyager is what we had.
The Voyager.
Was Plymouth, so which doesn't even exist anymore as a company, right? So, but yeah, that's what she had. She had actually 2 Plymouth Voyagers, like one from like 1991. And I remember this in time. This is probably the very, very few moments where my dad's driving home. This is whenever they're still married, and then drives up in that ugly blue Plymouth Voyager, right? Mm-hmm. So, and drives up. Oh my gosh! Like, so all of us are excited. My brother, my sister, and I were just like, yeah, Mama has a car. Like, so we only had one car at the time, and that was the secondary car. Ironically enough, that wound up just being her car. My dad had, you know, his car, which was, I don't remember what his one was whenever she had that one, but. That, and then my dad was well off, and he got his master's degree in business administration. Okay. So when I know him, when I was growing up and he was younger, and I was younger, he was maybe where my friend Brian is, ironically enough, as far as the level goes, maybe doing some mechanical engineering projects, but then overseeing people. Mm-hmm. And where I really remember him is being the operation manager of the plant, or of the factory. Yeah. So a lot of times he worked with, it was typically steel, right? Steel or stainless steel, and they were shaping it into something. So typically it was pipes, right? So that whether it was, and the reason he moved to Houston was because that's where a lot of the oil field was. So that's where, as a mechanical engineer, if you got an engineering degree in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, typically you were moving to Houston. So because of that, because all the oil was right there, because they went to the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America. So for oil, right? And so lots of times you have that offshore oil rig, and that's so far on the ground, but you got to get the oil out. So you have this huge pipe going here, but maybe it's not right here. They can drill out, 30, 40 miles that way and that way and that way, but you need lines, a long thing of lines to do that. Yeah. And so that's what he did many, many times over with a few different companies. I can think of, I still use his password, ironically enough. TextTube, CCAT, and I forget the other one. Boy, I was like really young. But that's what he did. So whenever we went to his office, we always saw like all these pipes that were different lengths. Mm-hmm. Not that he had any business that he did in the office, because he didn't sell anything. He was just the operations manager. But yeah, so seeing him there and seeing the fact that he had that status, like I think right now, if I were to meet myself and then like unlock the door for myself, yeah, this is my spot or something like that, I'd be so impressed with myself. You know what I mean? Because I don't have an office in the gym, but at the same time, this whole entire place is, you know,
ownership.
Right, exactly. But I was so impressed with my father to have that. I think my mother, you know, she was an EMT and a paramedic, and that's, you know, maybe where the transition to doing special needs or being a special needs teacher wound up, you know, being. But that's what she did for the majority of her life.
Right.
Ironically, the medical kind of curiosities from that too, for me, or I guess maybe sports more than, you know, medicine.
Right.
More like kinesiology was the curiosity from probably that a little bit. But, you know, aspiring to be, you know, obviously him or better than him, grandma and grandpa aspiring to be like that, but no one, like my dad's like, you're working, I wouldn't say he's impressed, more like, I would say, like
shocked.
Not shocked, like, why would you even do this? Like, disrespectfully impressed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are you working this many hours? Like, dude, I get off at 4 o'clock. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, not that he's subconsciously not proud, but at the same time, he's like, this is too much. You're going to wind up, you know, killing yourself.
Burning
yourself. Yeah, you're burning the candles on both ends. So, I mean, that's, Mom never says anything like that, nor does she think like that. But, I mean, it's just a totally different mindset. So, you know, there's a lot to it. And I recently talked to him about, so whenever he moved from Houston to Louisville, literally as I graduated high school, and then I came to San Antonio. So I moved with him, you know, my 8th grade year, and then all of high school, right? And then my brother and sister stayed with my mother. But because of that, whenever he had to go to Louisville to get to do another job over there, to actually, you know, he got transferred over there, whatever the case is. His company moved over there. They took over another plant over there. He needed him to be the operations manager over there. He went there willingly. Company sold, and then they let him go along with it. He bought a house and, you know, did everything over there. He was there for like a year and a half, and he goes, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? He could have either looked for jobs during that point, or, and I encouraged him to do this, and he did not listen to me because of this, but I was like, you got to, you know, start your own business, Dad. You're so smart. You just, you know what I mean? So, he wanted to buy into business. So he went, and I don't even know if you've heard this term before. He went to a business broker. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
So, okay. So business brokers, obviously the same thing as, you know, a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, this business is for sale. That business is for sale. And did that. And then when I told him I was doing the marketing thing, you know, here and how much it cost, I had a heart to heart with him, like, about that, you know, and how much it is and how much work it includes. And then I'm like, did you ever do anything like that, Dad, whenever you first started the business? No, or first took over the business? Because he had it for like 12 years, and he just recently sold it like a year and a half ago for, you know, a little bit more than, probably like 30-40% more than he bought it for. But he bought it for over $1 million, but he had to pay everything off and everything like that. Right. So you do that for 10-12 years, and then you get all your money back plus some. Right. But he's like, yeah. He's like, I talked to a not a marketing person, but he talked to a business consultant, right, to show him like how to run a business and everything like that. I'm like, how long were you there? He's like, a year. But he's like, the last 3 months we were supposed to have, you know, meetings or, you know, discussions every week, phone calls every week. And he's like, I was just wound up being too busy. I'm like, he's like, so I just, you know, stopped with him. Not that he wanted to stop, or that, you know, I was finished learning, you know, everything that I could from him, because I'm pretty sure there was more. He's like, but I just wanted to be, you know, so busy with orders. And then I'm like, well, that's a great thing to have. He's like, yeah. He's like, it was fine. So he's like, I just couldn't use him anymore. I'm like, did you pay more than I paid? And I told him the price that I paid. He's like, yes. I was like, oh God. I was like, was it 5,000? And he's like, that would have been a good, decent number. And then he's like, it was around that, is what he said. So,
jeez.
But to pay, I mean, that's what I want to do. You know, I have 4 or 5 clients at, you know, $5,000 a piece.
Oh yeah.
Easy as a business consultant. But he said he was also a retired businessman himself, the guy. And like, you got his phone number still? He's like, Zach, that guy's probably dead. He's like, he was like 80 something years old whenever he talked to me. You know, he's like, he might not be, you know, because he's probably in his 90s. He's like, but he could be. And he's like, I don't know. I'm not going to look him up. And I was like, okay. But I think it was a combination of, like, just me describing him right now. Obviously, I was proud of him when I was a kid, and I can hear that in my voice and understand that. My mom just seemed to be like a hard worker and kind of like lay the foundation for understanding where I don't want to be.
Right.
Or to take advantage of every opportunity that lands in front of you that's good, not, oh, there's some person that can help me. Which in my brain was the relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go and take advantage of this person. This person's got a house.
Right. So, like, you learn through observation.
Right.
Maybe not. They maybe not have coached it into you.
No.
But you just were around these different things, and you realized,
yeah, my dad.
I don't want to end up like this. I want to get to this. I see the road. I want to get to that.
Yeah.
Ownership, entrepreneurship, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I did say it's a combination of the three of them. Again, more my grandma than my grandpa. My grandpa's just like, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Like, my grandma was the brains of the operation, 100%. So, like, 100%. Like, there was not even a question that everybody would say. Like, oh, we're talking about money? Let me go get grandma. So,
Right.
This involves numbers, right, Zach? Nah. So, but yeah, so just, I mean, that'd probably be the inspiration, but I mean, it's crazy how you kind of think about things, and no one really ever taught me anything. And it's weird because my brother seems to have that same sense, you know, not as much, and he definitely loves to spend it a little bit more than I do. My sister definitely loves to spend it. Well, if we're not going on vacation, what's the point of like living, kind of stuff. And I'm like,
jeez.
I don't disagree with that at the same time, but you know, there's delayed gratification, and you got to get to a point. Like, if you can't function because you have to go on vacation, I guess I get it, but I mean, you better make that vacation count, and then you grind again.
Yeah.
50, 60, 70 hours.
Yeah. For me, my opinion on that is if there was I'd rather grind now that I'm young or younger, I should say.
Yeah.
And before, you know, I get too invested in things, I'd rather grind now and be able to do the vacations and do these trips later down the road than to take them now and then still be grinding when I'm 50, 60.
And I think, so if Magdalene, if you watch this, that's not what I'm trying to say. So, I think she does grind, and I don't know why I look at her grind differently than mine, because she has MZ threads where she does the embroidery stuff.
Get the new machine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so she is doing her shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how I see the grind differently than me. Maybe she can just manage her time better than me. Or maybe I'm wasting more time than her, and in my stupid brain I'm thinking, oh, if she's not applying herself every single second of every single day, then that's not a grind. And that may be my level of grind. Oh, you go out and drink? Not grinding, right? So I see it one time out of, 2 weeks, not grinding, you're a piece of shit. That may be my silly, stupid mindset, but I mean,
this is your perspective.
Yeah, but she may see the same thing about me, but I think that she has 2 jobs, right? And then she also has the embroidery business.
Right.
So, I mean, in my opinion, she's doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? It's just I'm a few years ahead of her. And I got, a good partner, that's very, very helpful. I'm lucky as hell. Sorry, Natalie, I haven't talked about you at all.
Shout out Nats. Natalie is the queen of the blend.
Yeah.
The queen of meal preps.
Yes. No, it's honestly, whenever you start a business, whenever you're getting into something, whenever it's something so expensive that's unsurmountable, like you're talking about, for this facility to operate over like $6,000 a month. So for this facility to operate, that means I have to generate at least $6,000 a month. Otherwise, this place closes.
Right.
I mean, and this property management company, if you don't pay by the 15th, they will lock you out.
Yeah.
There's been one person to be locked out since I've been here, and they called me or something like that, because I have a lot of people's phone numbers that are we're in a strip center, right? And like, man, they locked me out. I have to pay this and I have to pay that fee for it to be unlocked. It was like an extra $500, right? But that's crazy to me. Like, crazy as in not for them to be locked out, but that I've been able to do the $6,000 for X amount of months.
Consistently.
And I have to tell Natalie every single time. I'm like, because she's a big stressor, right? We did it last month. We can do it this month. That's it. I don't know what to say. But the thing is that's where I live. I mean, whenever I told my father and I explained this all to him, he's like, dude, I have to have this in reserve. I have to have this in reserve. I'm like, there's too much security right there. I'm like, my thing though in my brain is high risk, high reward. But we're still waiting for that reward part. So, but again, it is high risk. This is high risk. This is a lot higher risk, right? Whenever you get a fully established business, typically you should have less risk. But it wasn't fully established. It was a good business. You can take out the owner, of it, and it can still run.
Operates. Yeah.
Like if you took out the old owner of this, it doesn't operate. You have to insert another owner that does it the same or differently or grinds just as much or whatever the case is, right? And then if you take on more like another, adding space like this other suite that we're in right now, then it's going to be even more of a grind.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, this 100% of this is all not done without her. Without her trying to figure it out, without her not trying to do the marketing, without her not being there in general, just to kind of facilitate a lot of the stuff that happens. I hate looking at numbers and money, not because I'm scared of them, right? I don't want to see how low the account is. I don't want to see, how little we made. Like I used to every day when I first took this over, let's check, go to the transactions of Square and like, boom, yeah.
Yeah.
But also we had Herbalife at that point, so it was it was a little bit better. But now it's just not as fun. But I see now the reason I don't do that is because people like everybody does. You get up and down, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a really good month that sells for supplements, right?
Yeah.
Or a day or something. Fuck man, I sold like $700 worth of supplements today from 2-3 different people.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, right? And let's say you don't get another sale for like 2 weeks. How do you feel? You know what I mean?
It
hits you emotionally.
I feel like I gotta do something. Like I'm slipping.
Right, but it hits you emotionally.
Yeah.
Whether you want to say that to someone else or not doesn't matter. But the same thing. So if I don't make another sale, I don't close on somebody. I'm just going like this. So that's why if I don't even look at it and I just focus on just doing it
in the moment, just
right,
trying to
that
every
helps.
day. Yeah.
Right, and so I thank God that Natalie does. But the problem is whenever she does, then she's mentally dealing with it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna blah blah. Like I don't know if we're ever gonna live. Like we're gonna have to go sleep under a bridge. Right. So I see her mentally dealing with it, which is what I was doing. I just wasn't saying anything to her.
Yeah.
But I can't expect that from my wife. Like she's my wife. She's going to voice her opinion, and then I'm gonna calm her down. Because I'm not looking at the numbers, and she's not spouting off the numbers to me, which is great. I think that she's doing that not on purpose. She's just not wanting to share anything because she maybe just doesn't remember what the numbers are, whatever it is. And I just reassured her, hey, we did it the last 24 months, or the last 2 years, fine. We're here today. We're gonna do it the next 24 months.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hopefully with this new marketing company that we're working with, we've learned a lot. It's just step after step after step. So we're probably gonna take a break from the marketing company as soon as we're done with their contract, and then try to do something ourselves where I'm pumping $500 to $1,000 in Facebook ads, my own Facebook ads. Right. Now they have their own entire program that they click a link and then it goes to a site where it does everything, and then it puts all the customer's information in and we communicate with the customer. So I won't have that, but hopefully we'll have an ad that'll give us
foot traffic or leads.
Likes through leads, but I have to have some sort of crazy hook on there where it's just like text this number or call this number or DM me if it's on Instagram.
Yeah.
DM me right now and I'll give you 6 months free. And then the first thing I want to say off of that is all you gotta do is give me your name and phone number, and then I got them. And then I just go 6 months for free is like a program that we're entering in and blah blah blah, and then I'm that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
I hate having to do it like that, but I need their phone number and their name in order to harp on them. Because I can't tell you how many times that I don't believe that calling someone again and again and again and again will eventually work, but it does.
Yeah.
Every single time. Not because they cave, because they're weak. It's because they just weren't ready for or weren't open to it. And if they're not open to it, guess what? They will eventually be really honest with you and say, quit freaking calling me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they'll just block my number, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's what I'm probably going to do next time, to have some sort of crazy hook and just run that ad, at the beginning of every month or something like that. And just put a hardcore, amount of money in there and put the range, 10 miles out.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll do like $500 for meal preps and smoothies, and then like $500 on the gym, right? And then maybe next month I'll do $1,000 on meal preps and smoothies, and then the following month $1,000 in the gym,
right?
And kind of just go back and forth. Because honestly, having the consistent customers every day for the smoothies and the meal preps definitely helps. And there's like 4 or 5 like truly loyal customers that we get, like, I don't know, that come 2 or 3 times a week, and we're just needing to slowly build that back up. So it used to be like 20, and so we've lost that.
Yeah.
So, but no, we'll get it back. But now, I mean, at this point, so working HVAC maintenance, and then doing the gym, and then it's a lot, But I mean, it's funny that that's what drove you to listen to me, because you're like, oh, I want a gym. So, wait, whenever I first had the conversation with you, what did you think?
Which one? The marketing?
No. Go our first like moment that we met.
Oh.
So like, hey, do you or hey, what do you work out at, or what gym do you go to? And then eventually, after the conversation, was like a minute, into it, I said that I had a gym. So what was your vision like of what this gym was, or what I was talking about, or if I was even a fucking liar?
No, I mean, I'm heavy into fitness, so you say you had a gym. In my mind, I was like, well, it doesn't hurt to stop by. That's really as simple as it was for me. And then,
well, okay. So how about this? Did you think that whenever I said I had a gym, I meant I had a gym, like I owned a gym and I ran a gym, or do you think I just ran a gym, I managed a gym, or you didn't even none of that even enter your head?
I didn't think that deep.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, let me go check out the gym, because I don't know like what I was expecting or where I was expecting for my future with the gym, but
you might not even have been thinking about that. You were just probably thinking about a place to work out.
Yeah, because I was at Gold's, which I had no problem with Gold's. But, what I did have problem with Gold's was that it was super packed all the time, waiting for racks and all that, this, that, and the third. So I was like, I'll go check out this gym, and if it makes more sense, at the least, I'll just sign up and just work out there.
Yeah.
So I came in, and when, the hours I plan on working out, it wasn't going to be like crazy packed. Or, it was more class-based. So I was like, okay, well, if it's class-based, and I can just do my thing, get my workout in, and not have to like, how many more sets you have kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it just made sense for me to just...
What time, whenever you first got here, what time were you doing? Were you doing early morning, or were you doing late at night? You did both, at one point or another. But
I forget what I was doing at first. I think it was early mornings.
I think so, too. And then eventually, I want to say after 6 months or so, then you started going late at night.
Well, yeah, that's when I started working at Shoe Palace. So I was coming in after I got off at like 8.
Okay, yeah.
So I was coming in at like 9.
Yeah.
8:30, 9.
Yep. And then you close it down. Yeah.
Yeah. To wrap it up, I want you to give me one piece of advice that you would share, or that you think, one piece of advice that is important to you, whether it's something you follow now, something that somebody told you. What's something you would leave the people with as a piece of advice?
The only reason any of this works is because I love it. Like, the only reason. So I mean, that's it.
Gotta love
this. It's not you have to. It's you don't even need to say it to yourself, because you love it that much. Like, if you believe in it the way I believe in it, if you believe in your success and believe in yourself, I mean, as much as I do, then you would gladly pour whatever you needed to into this. you know, and my honestly, one of my biggest regrets is not marrying Natalie earlier. Like, it's so stupid of me to say, but, and I think that I didn't, because this gym would be so much further along if I would have married her earlier. Not that we would have started the family earlier, or the Zara would be 2 or 3 years old, you know, just punking everybody out. I don't know. You wouldn't even work out, bro? But that's probably one of my like most recent like regrets, because I think that I didn't trust myself to put her all in because she wasn't all in. Not that she wasn't all in and her mindset wasn't already there. Maybe, I mean, it was probably already there.
Yeah.
But maybe I wasn't there. You know what I mean? As far as the relationship with her, but I believed in the gym. I believed in, I wanted to do it. I wanted to create it. But I knew I needed help, because every single time I looked at, you know, whoever who tried to create anything, you know, in life, whether it was businesses or this, that, the other thing, and you can attest to this, it is so hard to do something on your own as opposed to having that person that can back you the hell up.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the Natalie, you know, with you, I mean, that could market for you.
Right.
That could do that. Do you think that you're, you know, why not? Okay, I know you know your supplements would be selling probably daily at this point.
Trying to do everything, doing it all is it's almost impossible. To do it all at the level it needs to be.
Supplements. I mean, your app could be advertised. You know, your website could be more streamlined. You know, I mean, I'm way far behind where he's at, so I'm not nitpicking, you know, him at all.
You're right though, yeah.
But having Natalie there is such a huge burden. And anytime she goes, "Oh, we're not making enough money, maybe I should go back to work," I go, "Well, what do you need me to do to make you not, to convince you not to do this?" Because if this gym would crumble if she wasn't here. Like, it would just be like, all right, I mean, if you want to go back to work, that's fine. I'll just, you know, tell them that I'm done with the gym, and, you know, we'll get a U-Haul tomorrow and get all the stuff that I like out of there. So, unfortunately, I probably would need to get a rental space, because there's just, I mean, well, there's definitely no way this would fit in my house.
Right.
Yeah. But, no, like, having that person there and being passionate about it. So, knowing that you can't do it on your own, and I hear it all the time from other, like, big entrepreneurs, like hiring. But, I mean, that's not a hire. That's more of a, you know, a marriage. But, I mean, at the same time, picking the right partner, I mean, you've heard that term like a
business
1,000
partner,
times.
whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But picking the right partner and just absolutely being in love with it. Whether that's just you getting a job, or whether that's you following a passion or a skill, I absolutely love it. I would spend so much time, you know, here if I could.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that my wife lets me, you know, stay here as late as, you know, I do some nights, and it doesn't make me feel guilty.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do that with anybody else. So, I mean, luckily she can, you know, check up on me if she needs to, but having that flexibility, you know, it's just,
it's like the foundation.
Well, yeah, I mean, partner and passion, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. Like, that's it for me. You could literally do anything with that.
Yeah.
You got a passion, whatever it is, X, Y, and Z, and then you have a partner that believes 100% in you. I mean, you
Sky's
can
the limit.
start whatever you want to at that point, and not ever fuck up until you give up, you know? So, and that's my safety blanket, is that. So in my opinion, I do have a security blanket. Like, my dad's like, "Oh, that's so unsafe living, you know, like this and like that with the gym." But in my opinion, I have the security blanket. The security blanket is her. And she probably doesn't like to hear that, because she'll just say, she's like, "I don't do anything. I don't do enough." I know she says it all the time, and I do harp on her a lot. But, I mean, you know, I have to bring it back to reality all the time.
Yeah.
She does a lot for us. And it's just, sometimes it's just small things. But these small things are like 10 little things that would take me, you know, 2 or 3 hours a day. I don't have an extra 2 or 3 hours a day, so it's just that. And even if I did, sometimes that drains those 2 or 3 hours of doing the little things that calling this company, calling that company, calling this business, calling that business. You got to set yourself up for the right mindset to do that. Like, I can't do this in between driving from one job to the next job while I'm at my 9 to 5, because I got to totally switch gears to do it.
Yeah.
If she's here, she doesn't have to switch gears. She can just make those phone calls all in a row.
Yeah.
And then what happens whenever people call me back, you know, and I can't get to it. So, but whenever she's here all the time, then she can get to them. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is a very long-winded, you know, answer to what would you leave the people with as far as advice goes.
But we love it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another fantastic episode of Uncle Strib. We will catch you guys next time.
Later, guys. Have a good night.
I'm gonna chase my dreams, my life.